It's the 19th of October at 11:50, and this upload is for my own personal documentation in this experience of human rights abuses and constitutional offences that is occurring in Tralee, County Kerry, in the presence of practitioners that have slandered my name and that have exacerbated their stupidity, their ignorance, and their offences against my good name, character, and reputation, and my good work in this country, since they slandered and misrepresented information surrounding the circumstances of the illegal actions regarding my child unlawfully withheld from me. So this is with regard to healthcare in Ireland. Ireland is a democracy, it's a neutral country, and there are representatives of healthcare providers that aren't acting in the best interests of the professions that they are representing, or the agencies and bodies that they're representing. So there's a huge disservice occurring in the democracy in 2021, and this has been going on for the past 5 years. It's highlighting huge unprofessionalism, it's highlighting incompetence, it's highlighting the worst case scenarios of people since 2015 not doing their jobs properly. And as a teacher that has worked in a classroom of up to 60 pupils, having to delegate, organise, communicate, correct, discipline, crowd control, anger management of young people, all the emotional issues that I've had to confront in classrooms, at home and abroad, and still have a very nice clean track record and a lovely sense of sanity and sobriety. It's very serious that there are incompetent individuals of practices from establishments and agencies that are of slander, defamation, and disrespect and discourtesy to the positions that they are abusing. So as a former employee of 3 state departments, as a property owner, etc., as a humanitarian, as I'm of legislation since 2018, this is highlighting the ongoing issues of very serious matters that are not being addressed properly. I have been underpaid by the state. I have not received reparations from the state that has unlawfully withheld my child from me, that has not acknowledged the obstacles in society due to treason of my Fernan bloodline, or against my Fernan bloodline. Not only am I owed reparations, I'm owed apologies and amends since 2006. So I'm absolutely highly concerned with regard to the democracy's treatment and its acknowledgement and its consideration for the effects this has on the broader community, especially when they've been damaging wildlife, nature, and my farm holdings in Tubbard Hill and Kilflynn in County Kerry, that individuals have been quite over preoccupied with to cause so much trouble to an innocent child and mother. So there have been obstacles and obstructions and individuals in my proximity where they have absolutely no right or remit, and individuals publicising and sharing personal information that they are not authorised to in or under any circumstances whatsoever. So we all know what a contract is, we all know what habitual residence is, we all know our country of origins. These are little basic things. And for me, of a clean track record that has been slandered, and that is of habitual residency, and that is able to read and write, level 9 on a national framework, it's absolutely baffling that representatives from these agencies, state bodies, would try to misinform or disinform regarding contractuality and the issue of individuals altering and just basically providing disinformation surrounding circumstances of repeat offenders against the state that are costing the taxpayer a lot of money, jeopardising other people's lives, coming within remit of an individual where they have no right. So there's the issue of this matter since 2016. and individuals not fulfilling their capacities, functions, and positions properly. And as a teacher, I find that highly insulting to young people and their IQ and their intelligence and their understanding of humanity in this modern day and age. As a teacher that has set a good example and that has not been responsible for any such similar incompetence that I'm experiencing, I think it's quite serious that this is being tolerated. So this is with regard to not just the constitutional offences, not only with regard to the three state departments, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Education and the Department of Social and Family Affairs, but also with regard to human rights that I'm experiencing violation of since I gave birth, and the ignorance of incompetent human beings, adults, in my proximity, discussing a person they have absolutely no right to be discussing, and stepping over boundaries, borders, and lines and limits and limitations. It's very dangerous that this could be occurring to an innocent mother and child, to facilitate individuals of property theft, intellectual and creative theft, and taking credit for work in legislation, nature and wildlife, and farm holding properties of my ancestry where they have no right or remit to claim any ownership of. So, as I have laid the foundations for positive developments and influenced legislation since 2018, and have experienced the treason, the bodily integrity damages, the medical negligence, the slander, the violations of proximity of these incompetent people to comprehend or not able to comprehend their boundaries with regard to the greater scheme of humanity. So, as a spiritual teacher, also, it's quite serious that these people have the loose tongues that they have to insult my family name, which is quite serious and insulting for any family. So, it would be really appreciated if the government could be honourable in Tralee County Kerry with regard to the problems that have been caused with regard to slander and defamation of my character and reputation, and the child that I gave birth to unlawfully withheld from me. Incompetence and ignorance in a modern day and age is not tolerated. It's not excusable and it's not forgivable. And those of professional theft from my purpose, from my work, from my experiences, from my qualifications, all of these issues are an insult to the Department of Education and the departments that I have worked for. And it's also insulting to my ancestors of my farm holdings in Tubbard Hill as of 2015 and my farm holding in Kilflyn as of 2015. And those individuals that are of slander, not paying their debts or their dues for the damages, harms and losses that they have caused my son and I, is a matter for human rights. And as a humanitarian that has helped other people's lives, I'd appreciate my good intentions, work and objectives being reciprocated in my personal experiences rather than incompetent, unprofessional thieves and frauds taking credit for my work and jeopardizing other innocent people's lives, with the extent of all that has been affected mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and the anonymity of sanity and sobriety that I also represent. I'd really think it really important that those that are deviating and diving and ducking from their responsibilities and wrangling and avoiding from their dues that they owe me, I'd appreciate that those that have respect for humanity and democracy actually stand by their objectives and their goals and fulfill their positions rather than going around with a herd of sheep that have not done good service to society with the avoidance tactics they've been applying. So as a property owner, as a humanitarian, as of a royal title, as a teacher, and as I'm of a clean track record that has also been slandered, that has been mentioned and clearly stipulated and established in DPP explanations or impact statements, I'd really appreciate the United Nations acknowledging all these very serious problems I'm confronting on my own, that I shouldn't be experiencing due to a collective of incompetent professionals that have loose tongues, that are slander and that are imposing and intruding in property and privacy where they have no right to be discussing or publicising or breaching confidentiality or breaching anonymity of the recovery that I respect. So I'd appreciate the United Nations respecting all aspects of this and the ongoing issue, even up to tonight, the issue of individuals being in proximity, violating my protection entitlements, stealing my wealth and my fortunes, withholding my child, and trespassing into my farm holdings as of 2015, and acknowledging the illegalities and the unlawful actions I've had to confront by local state agencies or agencies and bodies, independent or otherwise, that have facilitated very dangerous, sinister wrongdoings while exploiting and gaining monetarily from my purpose, work, qualifications, accomplishments, and experiences. I'd appreciate the United Nations contacting me directly with what I've had to confront on my own, and especially with regard to the child that I gave birth to that has been damaged as a consequence of professionals not doing their jobs properly and illegalities that are highly, highly serious, especially from a circumstance that is only recovering from recent fraud that occurred for a very long time, that I personally cleansed and cleared from this democracy. So I'd appreciate that there be no more fraud in this country and that the democracy and its pillars be upheld respectfully. And I'd also appreciate that any of those individuals of repeat offences of slander or fraudulence or financial theft yet again in this country be brought to heed with regard to property theft of my homes and my farms as of 2015 in particular, and the unlawful actions withholding my child from me.